Yeah, I think they have a lot of new players, a lot of young players that I think have, really stepped up for them and are scoring some goals. And so I think obviously we can't underestimate any team in the league, and every game is going to be, we want to put our best foot forward. But for us, we're focusing on our performance. We want to build off of the Louisville game last weekend and continue to solidify how we want to look and how we want to play in this league. And so the biggest thing is obviously we want to stop conceding goals and really focus on our defensive performance, but also continue to build in the final third of creating those connections, creating that sense of every time we get in the final third, we look dangerous, and we want to create really high probability scoring opportunities for us. And so between those two things, that's kind of what we're focusing on going into tomorrow's game.
And you kind of mentioned it there, but building a full game and being consistent. How do you guys hope to keep developing that and do that throughout the year?
Yeah, I think it's just learning from the past performances, working on the things that we need to work on during training during the week, and not ever getting complacent. It's, every single game, no matter how good the performance is or how bad the performance is, there's going to be things for us to learn from. And, we still are a new team. Like, we have a lot of new players. And so every opportunity we get to continue to create that chemistry together is going to be huge. And so I think it's just continuing to push forward and continue to learn from the things that we can learn from and grow, and just keep building throughout the entire season.
And there was a news report this morning about NWSL Division Two potentially becoming a thing in the next couple of years. What would you think about that news, and how much does that impact the NWSL?
I actually just saw that on Instagram on my phone walking into this, and so um, it's really interesting. I think it could be really good, especially with the amount of young talent that's coming into the league, to give a lot of the younger players an opportunity that to get game minutes, to get um, up to speed, that aren't getting the game minutes in the league at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how the league, brings that into the fold, and how that can impact the first teams, and hopefully it just pushes the first division, onwards and upwards. And so that's obviously what we want to do. And yeah, we'll just have to see how it plays out.
And you were a player that went to college, and this is kind of like a replacement for college. Do you think like when you started, would this have been an option for you?
It's kind of hard to say, like, at the time, the league was very new, very fresh. It was, kind of month by month, season by season of if teams were going to fold, if the league was still going to be around. And so it's kind of hard for me to say like one way or the other. But I think obviously where the league and where women's soccer is going in general, um, it's a viable option for kids these days, to be able to get the experience of being a pro. But I also think that there's a gap that needs to be bridged, and that could be where this second division comes into play.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for some of our extra pals for joining us. Tony, we will go over to you. Oh, did Abraham steal your questions?
No, I just wanted to go ahead and ask, thank you for your time. In terms of the training aspect of the team coming together, obviously, the style that Jonas is presenting needs a lot of fitness. After the preseason, you have some conditioning in. Is that really factored in? Is that starting to kick in during training? Or is training just as hard as preseason as it has been, or even harder?
Yeah, obviously, preseason is a time to push. We don't have to necessarily be able to perform on the weekend. Obviously, we're playing scrimmages and you want to be able to perform every single day, but that's the time where you can go into those scrimmages a little bit more fatigued than you can during the regular season, when, results and performances really, really matter. But with that being said, I think, it's finding the balance of, we obviously still need to push and we still need to be in an environment where the fitness standards are being pushed, the performance standards are being pushed, as long with the technical and the tactical. So finding a balance of all of those things to be able to push at the right moments during the week while still being fresh on the weekends is it's a very fine-tuned balance, but I think our performance staff and Jonas is coming together and really figuring out from an individual basis of who needs a little extra here, who needs a little extra there, and really individualizing those plans during the week. And so everyone can show up on the weekend fresh and ready to put out a solid performance as a team.
And on the training field, the training grounds, is there anybody who you really connected? Maybe a new player, maybe a player that's been there? Is there somebody who you've found a new chemistry with or just build a bond with through training?
Yeah, obviously Kenza's new to the team, and I think right away coming in, we've kind of found this partnership of being able to get on the ball when our back line has it and being able to break lines. But I think a lot of our success has come from finding each other and being able to play off of each other, not only just in, our build up, but then higher up the field of those little small passes to then one of us spraying the ball wide or finding someone in the pocket. So it's been really fun to kind of play with her and develop that relationship in there to be able to, help the team, but also it's just really fun to play with footballers. And so I think it's just been really fun to continue to develop that relationship in the midfield.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for your time, Jonas. Just want to get your perspective and insight on how you build momentum after a fantastic win over the weekend. How does that translate onto the training pitch to continue this good motion going forward?
Um, Not too much, I wouldn't say, because I like I said many times before, this for me it's very much a season about developing, about growth, and there are things to learn and to develop no matter if we win or lose matches. But of course there are some positive things that we can make a real case for and making like this is a part of our identity, this is what brings us success, and we can sort of hone in onto those details in a really positive way and try to strengthen the belief around those things. So that's of course important. But then I think, I mean, the story of the league, it's just to see Gotham in California here the recent days being like they come from the performance in Los Angeles, and then they have the other performance in Portland, and I just think it really shows how important it is to have a game by game approach in this league. And for us, it's just a wake up call to be like how humble and how much 100% focus you need to have for every single game. And we're not getting carried away with having a positive performance and result against Louisville. Now it's just 100% focused to Chicago.
And even with great performance, you mentioned the details. What details from this last match, even with a scoreline, would you still think that there's room for improving that you're working on again, carrying it into the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we're still chasing the clean sheet. I think there are parts in our defending in the game against Louisville that absolutely can improve, and that we're working hard to improve on as well.
Thank you.
Abraham, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Jonas. Savannah spoke to us a little bit about that defending. How important is it for that back line and that midfield to be connected while defending and eventually getting that clean sheet for you guys?
It's not only that. It's also the forwards. For me, and this is a real principle of me, we attack as a team and we defend as a team. So the third goal, I think it is, third or fourth goal that we score against Louisville starts from a long pass from Kaylin, our goalkeeper. A lot of our goals this season has started from possession with our goalkeeper and our central defenders, and we build our way through there in a very team-like manner to create goal-scoring opportunities. But the same is also true for defense. While our attack most of the time starts with our goalkeepers and central defender, our defense starts with our forwards. So it's really a team thing. It's a team mentality, and everyone has to buy into that. And for me, it's not a choice about us being a team with the ball or without the ball. It's both. Both of these things is constantly present when you play this game. And if you want to be a top team, you need to be a top team attacking, but you also need to be a top team defending.
And there was recent news that dropped this morning about the potential of an NWSL Division Two. How do you think that could impact the league, and how important is it to have a developmental system?
I don't have any details about that specifically, but generally speaking, I think it's a really important area of development is how do we develop youth talent in the league? How do we get young players really crucial game time? Because that's needed for developing. So of course, these are really, really important areas for us to discuss if we want to take the next step as a league.
Thank you.
Jeff Kassouf, go ahead.
Hey, Jonas, Jeff Kassouf for the ESPN. Just wanted to follow up. I appreciate that it's newer news and not necessarily specific to you guys, but maybe just your view of what you've seen here thus far and what you saw in longer experience in Europe in terms of what that development pathway looks like, and particularly for that sort of I guess call it back end of the roster that needs minutes, maybe can't necessarily get them in every first team game, but over there where you have cups and other competitions that don't necessarily exist here. I mean, how different are the systems, do you feel like, as they stand from what you've seen to develop those players?
I mean, globally speaking, if we start with that, I think women's football or soccer is extremely underinvested from an academy perspective and from a talent pathway perspective. If you compare it to men's and boys football, and that's the case in Europe. I think it's a disgrace when you look at the differences in education that a boy get in Europe in developing as a football player compared to a girl. Now, I haven't been in the US long enough to know exactly how the system works here, but for a global trend, I think the opportunities from an academy perspective or a youth development perspective needs to increase drastically for girls all around the world that wants to play. And it, from my perspective, there shouldn't be a difference in the opportunities that you get to develop yourself as a football player just because of your gender. Yeah, that's definitely something for the whole industry that I think it's not good enough. And therefore, I'm really welcoming all these discussions about how we can create better pathways, how we can incentivize and build academies for women's football in order to help and develop more players to be ready to play on first team level, but also to help essentially people to realize their dreams and ambitions.